Welcome back to Think DevOps. With me here, we have Mr. Silva. Hello, Mr. Silva. How are you?
I'm doing great, Peter. I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
Good, good. Today we are talking about infrastructure as code. And for this, we have one specialist here. Mr. Silva, can you talk about what is infrastructure as code, please?
Sure, that's a pleasure to talk about it, man. IaC, usually we call IaC infrastructure as code, yeah? And that's is the process which you manage and provides computer data centers through machine readable definition files. That's the formal definition for the IaC. But I like to say we use the best software engineering practicing to manage the infrastructure, getting benefits from the software engineer process that we already have. So we have tests, we have management, we have all of those tools, we can use this infrastructure. That's awesome, man, because you can save time and the process it's already used for many years in software engineer teams. So it's not one thing that's pops up new in the market. It's one thing that we already have. We are just adopting to infrastructure. That's a great point.
It's interesting because we can use some features like Git, and you can create some tags about your infrastructure, and you see, you know what happened in your infrastructure in a timeline. Because at some point, sometimes when you deploy your server manually, you just need to put this information in some place. And when you use some automation like the infrastructure as code, you do it in a file, and it's really easy to read this file after that, right?
Yeah, right. And we have many options and many tools in the market to help us out. So it's a kind of thing we just save time using this. So why not use it?
Yeah, of course. And another point, what is the relationship between DevOps and IaC? Well, our channel is to talk about DevOps, and we are talking about infrastructure as code. We need to relate this, right? What is the relationship between of
Yeah,
them?
sure thing. It's a kind of thing. It's awesome because lots of people think, oh, DevOps is one thing and IaC it's another one. No. IaC it's an essential DevOps practice, man. So we use the best software engineering methods to address infrastructure. That's it. And as I said, like it's when we talk about IaC, we cannot say, oh, it's no relation with DevOps. No, they're just a key inside DevOps. So it's a key practice there.
Yeah, and they came to solve some problems, right? Like when you have some project in your company and you need to deploy a new server, what you can do? If you use infrastructure as code, you just run a new command to deploy a new server, to increase a new more CPU or memory in your server, or you scale up one application on Kubernetes when you're not using the scale up feature. You just can increase the number of the server, the instances on Kubernetes, for example, right?
Yeah, right. And there is a one thing like sometimes the different companies using different process, and some people doesn't like to use like auto increase, so they have a script to manage this. They don't use a resource that they already have in the cloud provider. So they have their own way to do it. So they can handle it using like automation tools, like Ansible, Terraform sometimes. So it depends on which flavor your company is using, but no doubts about it, they have it in place, and I recommend you to use it. Anyway, if you are using a cloud provider solution, or if you're using like your own script, do it.
Nice, nice. And I know some people who has fear about automation. Can you talk about this?
Oh, that's
This
very
fear.
common. That's a very common one. And the people when start the automation, they just get scared when the issue starts and they just get rid of the automation. And that's not how we should handle this. We should go for it like slowly. As I said, I always say this, like, hey man, if you start automation, just start this slowly. So you start with a small piece and then you get bigger piece. Do not start with bigger picture if when you want to automate something and you use IaC for it. Just go for a small one. Don't get scared. So when you go for the small one, the change will be like very thin, it's gonna save some time on it. And then you increase later, doing bigger until you are used to, to work that in your day by day. So just start slowly, man, but don't stop, just don't waste time starting with big picture. Just start small.
And another thing we need to talk, it's because all the time who are writing these files, these repositories, these codes for infrastructure as code, you need to code it, right? There are infrastructure guys who are doing that. And sometimes they don't know about the best way to develop something, to code something. Because for me, for example, I work with Ansible. And when you're writing a code on Ansible, you need to figure out, okay, this is a configuration state or not. I can run this role all the time. I can run this entire role of my Ansible playbook every single Friday, and they will not stop anything or they will change anything. No, I need to figure out how can I write this role to execute this every single time and do the same result, or change something, like change the version of one package on Linux. I need to install Apache or Nginx. I need to use this single version. How can I do this? I need to use best practice for coding, right?
Yeah, that's
Our
exactly
right?
what we had speak about software engineering practice, so we have
Yeah.
version, we should have version, we should have everything. So it's one thing that when we talk about infrastructure as code, we have to have this in mind. You have to have this on your mind, like uh, good to go, man. You have to know what you're doing, and you have to do it and save it somewhere else using version, using all the research that we have in software engineering. So it's one thing, it's must need when you start IaC. You have to know the process, how to develop an application. You don't need to be a developer, but you have to know how the process goes.
Yes. And it's another time. Operations, you need to use Git, not to maintaining the server of Git. You need to use Git for Git,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's write everything code, go everything for code, man. But because when you start, it's one thing that we have to have in mind. When you start, it's gonna be a bit painful, to get used to do it. But it's one thing you see, in midterm, you see it's gonna save too much time for you. So it's one thing very good, man. So keep in mind, it's gonna be a painful a little bit when you start. Yes, it will. But for midterm, it will be awesome for you. Try it.
Yes. But for infrastructure as code, we have something about the age of our infrastructure, right? Can you talk about the difference between the Iron Age, because this the hardware, the painful wage, and the cloud wage? Can you explain a little bit the difference and how infrastructure as code can help us?
To be honest with you, this is my preferred topic about this IAC, man, because we have two different things, and I have worked in both. That's awesome to participate in the history, So it's a kind of, we
Yeah.
had in the Iron Age, we have the physical hardware. So do you remember when we had like huge virtual service farms? We still have, some people still have it. Okay, that's not a problem. And but we do remember how painful we were, like to bring it up a new server, to set up new server. It was too painful, man. I remember we had many ways to do it like automatically, but we have to have lots of people doing this. So we have Ethernet cabling, we have power to be concerned about. We had too much things to be concerned. And actually, in cloud age, we just get rid of everything like this. We don't need this anymore. Everything is virtualized. It's already there to you, to for the user purpose. So it's one thing. It's very easy and fast actually in cloud age. In the past, it was very painful to do it. Now, if in a few minutes you get like a service done. I spin up like 10 servers just in a few minutes, like 2 minutes, everything good to go. So if you compare with the past Iron Age, which we call as Iron Age, it was there's no comparison about how much time we can save. That's awesome that part. So scale up and down, scale in and out, everything's gonna be just in a few minutes, you know. And IaC helps a lot when you do it. Think about Terraform. You can bring, the whole infrastructure just in a few minutes, man. You can bring like the VPCs, machines, load balancers, network rules, everything, because you have to have this in code, exactly in files, no determinate this.
Yes. No, try to remember when the ransom the ransomware uh, was in attacking 4 years ago. You need to update all the Windows machine by hand. The last company I work in Brazil, we have more than 400 servers, and we need to do it manually because we didn't have any infrastructure as code for Windows platform. We had for Linux, we use Ansible for that, but for Windows, we didn't have. And for them, we need to install the update by hand every single time. And this is painful. Now with Ansible, for example, in my, the company I'm working now, 99% is Linux. And to update to the servers really quickly. 15 minutes, you can update all
It's
the
like
infrastructure.
snap fingers. That's it.
Yeah. And one thing about the infrastructure as code, you take off the human error, the human mistake on the servers, and then you can focus in the real problem because you have problem. It's normal. If you have an infrastructure and an application without error, I'm sorry, you're just running hello world on the server, and that's it. No one access is not open to internet and so on. That's it. No one touching that server because you have errors. But if you don't know who managed servers, who touched the server, and who configures something, you don't know where you need to look. All the time you need to look all the, yes, the kind of error you have, but you need to investigate in your entire infrastructure. And sometimes you say, okay, my production environment is totally different than my UAT environment. Yes, completely different because it's two different teams working there, different persons, or sometimes the same person, but oh, I have one idea, I will do it in this way and produce in another way. No, you need to keep both environments in the same configuration, basic, right? Okay, we talk about infrastructure and cloud page. It's amazing. Uh, what is the three core practice for infrastructure as code?
Yeah, so those are the three, like we call as three core practices on it. It's first of all, it's defining everything as code. As I said, when you start, it's gonna be a little bit painful, to get used to work as this. But you see, like midterm, you're gonna save too much time, lots of hour. So man, just try it. Define everything as code. Try to do everything as code. The second one is continuously validate our work in progress. So what is that? You do it, you test it, and you deploy it, and you start again the cycle. So develop again, test again, deploy it again, etc. You never stop. This comes from the software engineering practice. And the last one is
Yeah.
build small, simple pieces that you can change independently. So do you remember when we talk about it? Like, hey, we have to do like a small one. So we start small and then we are no getting bigger, bigger, bigger. When you see your whole process in code, everything is automated, you're gonna save lots of time, but you have to give it a try. Give it a try. As I said, build small piece, small piece. Start slowly and small, man. But keep doing every day. You're gonna be in a like depends on your environment, obviously. You're gonna maybe days, weeks, or months. You get used to do it. You're gonna see, man. You're gonna save lots of time. Don't like do it and don't stop doing it.
Yes, I know that. Sometimes, for example, when I have some tasks, okay, what I need to do, I need to write a script, I need to configure this. No, I will write a whole on Ansible playbook, and I put there, and it's already done. I just put my configuration, the files, and just run from there, never directly the server. When you start to do that, never touch the server again. Just doing your Ansible playbooks should be easier in the future, and everyone can apply this configuration, and you can take vacation. This is
Yeah,
good. And
exactly.
for
That's the main
developers,
point. That's the main point. Like to
yes,
have some time free, and nobody will bother you because you did everything in code. Everybody can see what you're doing. Why? Because the whole team is used to do it. The whole team share the same information.
yes, this is true. And another thing, as a developers, we need to keep in mind PDCA, plan, do, check, act all the time. This is a continuous improvement. You need to keep this in your mind and your code. You need to keep this on your code too, right? Okay, can you give us one example of infrastructure as code?
Sure. So Pedro, as you can see, we have this in the website. I already wrote about this IaC topic, and we have this information here. You know, so we have a good example here, which we call as like a full IaC example. So we have like the Terraform building the whole infrastructure. So everything should be in script. So we have like the VPC, the security groups, the private subnets, the instance, the load balancers, the network rules as well, all of them just in that Terraform file, so they will like bring it up the whole infrastructure for you, bring it up the servers, etc. And then we have like we have some examples here like Ansible chef, no to install Puppet, to install and standardize the server. What's that means? The libraries that you need, the resource that you need, and then we have the deployed application. So we can deploy like using Jenkins or Kubernetes or Docker, etc. So that will rise up containers, that kind of thing. Or, everything can be like easier. If you are using an example like here, AWS, we can just bring it up the whole infrastructure Terraform, use Terraform, and we'll just bring it up a few containers that we already have mapped. So you're gonna build your containers on this environment. You already have your cluster. You can define everything just in files. So I think that's a very good example which cover everything in IaC. Actually, talking about cloud age, you can perform this in Aero Age as well. Yeah, you can, but it's gonna be a little bit painful, but you can do it. But it's one thing that you have to practice. If you are starting now to do IaC, try to do all the time IaC.
Nice, nice. I saw some companies, for example, they are using a private cloud. It's just a big cluster of VMware, for example, and you just manage the virtual machines inside of them. And you need to configure all your firewalls, rules, your reverse proxies, and everything. But you need to do it on your hand, basically. And we can do it, for example, using Ansible. You create a template of your virtual machine, and you just deploy a new one with a specific IP, specific network, VLAN, and you just install everything and configure everything. For example, you have one playbook on Ansible. I talk a lot of Ansible because it's my passion. I love Ansible, and you just use this for configure everything you need, right? It's
Yeah, right.
amazing. If you use Iron Age, because the most problem of the Iron Age is the setup of your infrastructure. It takes 9% of your time to fix this. And this is in the beginning. Of course, you need time to update, to keep the maintenance of the servers, right? But not the usual for DevOps or operations. Uh, they take more time just to keeping the VMs running and the applications running, the monitoring stuff, the logs, rotators, just to get all these informations about this. And for the basically the same in the cloud age, because in the cloud you need to do almost the same. If you use Kubernetes is a little bit different, but if you need to create one cluster, one Kubernetes cluster for one specific client, what you need to do in your cluster to be ready for your client. You need to install, for example, Prometheus to get all the metrics of your server. You need to create one alert manager to create the alerts for what happened in your infrastructure. You need to have some files to do that the same. It's like the setup you need to deploy it. And after that, you need to configure your applications, right? And
Yeah,
to
right.
configure your applications, run this, you need another kind of applications to deploy it. Like, as you said, Jenkins, and you can use Azure DevOps, and particularly I like so much, just to deploy and configure your applications. And well, it's amazing.
Yeah,
I
it's
love this
amazing.
subject.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing. And one other thing, it's one thing that we have to keep in mind. It's we have to have this in code. You know, everything should be in code. It's gonna be easier, guys. You know, you're gonna see it. You're gonna be easier to share your work with your other peers. So your team will have the same, the same view as you, the same files. They can understand the same way as you. So when you get vacation, you have like some time free. Nobody's gonna bother you, all the time, etc. So
yes,
try it, man, try it. And another thing that I would like to finish the video, I would like to just recommend a book, which the name is Infrastructure as Code: Managing Services in the Cloud, which we have linked in the website, and it's gonna be in the. If you click in Show More, you're gonna see all the information that we have, and you're gonna see the link to our website as well, which we wrote about this topic. So if you want some book, that's one good one. They have one and the first edition, the second edition. Both of them, it's very valuable and it's very good if you want to understand what is IaC.
nice, nice. And for you who else watching us, just click and subscribe, like the video, and let some comments. What you like on the video, your comments about the infrastructure as code, and everything you said there. It's really welcome. Thank you, and see you in the next time. Thank you, Mr. Silva. Have a
Thanks,
good day.
Pedro. Thanks for having me, Pedro. Have a nice day, guys. Bye.
Thank you.